more extreme version of this theory. And you can look back at my tweets.
Oh, so you're saying until Donald Trump, nothing to see here, you were on board with the theories. Trump has been making boss calls on this to be like, dude, shut the up. You know this is a big deal that is targeted the normie sphere because you got motherfuckers like Penguinzo, also known as Moist Critical, also known as Charlie, coming out of hiatus, and instead of like, I don't know, whatever the he was doing, because he's like, he hasn't really been doing a lot of like drama stuff or anything that's like related to politics at all, and has basically decided to finally make a statement. Oh yeah, this was my favorite post. As a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. Oh, if you say so. One of Epstein's closest friends was former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. A key source of Epstein's vast wealth, though mysterious, was from Les Wexner, whose primary life cause is Israel. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, the billionaire Robert Maxwell, was a Mossad agent who mysteriously died after that was reported. Though Maxwell was British, Israel gave him a state funeral when he died. But they do that to everybody, bro. Who amongst us hasn't gotten an Israeli state funeral, bro? Chill. Epstein got the red carpet treatment when visiting Israel. Epstein bankrolled major investments in Israeli tech. But fine, if Epstein had no ties to Israeli intelligence or any other intel service, which is theoretically possible, why can't Pam Bondi, the CIA, and FBI say that? I just don't get it. I don't understand. Except I do understand. I mean, do you need anything else? Do you need anything else other than someone like Naftali Bennett coming out and being like, Epstein has no ties to Israel? As soon as an Israeli person, as soon as an Israeli politician, current, former, past, present, doesn't matter. As soon as they come out and they're like, this is not the Mossad. Jeffrey Epstein was not a part of the Mossad. This is anti-Semitism. I'm like, okay, well, he's definitely Mossad then. The only thing that annoys me about this Israel stuff with respect to Jeffrey Epstein is that a lot of people like Tucker Carlson will fucking make it seem as though he was just a Mossad guy and he wasn't also a CIA guy. And even the same with like Benjamin Netanyahu. I hate that. I hate when, intriguing, Megyn Kelly claims to have sources within the government that say Epstein did not kill himself and that he did have ties to intelligence, and kind of rakes Ben Shapiro over the coals for believing the Trump administration narrative without skepticism. Let's see.
People who are making the claim that that Jeffrey Epstein himself, and that the most gross, and sort of extreme of the conspiracy theories, just don't even call them conspiracy theories, the most sort of, extreme version of the theory is not true. I have names of the people who are claiming that. Okay, they are all in the administration. And this is my point. If other people want to make the...
I thought you recall mentioning in a stream that Tucker's father was the CIA. When I looked into it, I did not find anything about it. I wanted to make sure I wasn't mistaken what you said with someone else. No, Tucker Carlson's father is the CIA. What the hell? Here, Tucker Carlson father. His name is Richard Warner Carlson, American journalist, diplomat, lobbyist, who was the director of the Voice of America from 1986 to 1991. Voice of America. Let's put that in there. Let's Google that. Voice of America. Accurate, objective news coverage from the U.S. around the world. Voice of America is an international broadcaster that by law has editorial independence from the United States government, who has funded it since 1942. Voice of America, CIA. CIA.gov. Intelligence support for the Voice of America with regards to Soviet jamming. When you see like Radio Free or Voice of America, know that it's a CIA outlet. I mean, straight up, it's not even like hidden. This is the media branch and the influence peddling operation arm of the State Department, and therefore the CIA. Tucker Carlson father was the United States ambassador to the Seychelles. Investigative reporting, banker, mayoral campaign, Voice of America. In the summer of 1986, U.S. President Ronald Reagan announced his intention to nominate Carlson as an associate director of the United States Information Agency to succeed Ernest Eugene Pell. Carlson became director of Voice of America, a U.S. government-funded, state-owned multimedia agency which serves as the United States federal government's official institution for non-military external broadcasting. It broadcasts 24 hours a day in nearly 50 languages to more than 130 million people around the world. He was also involved in negotiations on behalf of the U.S. government with many foreign governments, including those in China, Korea, the USSR, Germany, Georgia, Zaire, today the Democratic Republic of Congo, Lesotho, South Africa, Somalia, and Israel. In 1990, while serving as the director of Voice of America, Carlson jointly addressed the Israeli Knesset with Steve Forbes. In 1994, Carlson was an international observer at the first democratic elections in South Africa. In 1997, he was deployed by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe to work as an international observer at the parliamentary elections in Albania. From 1992 to 1997, he was president of Intermedia, the Russian state-owned global research consulting firm, which conducts opinion surveys for government agencies in over 75 foreign countries. He was recently its chairman. Later, Carlson became an advisor of the Institute for the Study of Terrorism and Political Violence. In 2003, he became the vice chairman of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. This is the #1 Israel-writing think tank, also a cutout of the CIA. Because remember, the CIA isn't all centralized at this point. The CIA has numerous different arms, many of which are academic institutions and specifically think tanks. The FDD is the number one writer of Israel. I mean, they literally, look, it also has been described as a pro-Israel, anti-Iran lobby due to its focus on Iran in opposition to the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran. Even the Wikipedia summary will say that it is a writer of Israel. And if the Wikipedia summary is saying that they are often billed as a pro-Israel, anti-Iran lobby, you already know, okay? Let's get
those claims that are counter to that, then they should provide evidence or at least put their names on it so we can question them about that as well, because otherwise we're just in the realm of pure speculation. And frankly, I just don't find...
I used to work at Voice of America. You're wrong. Okay, chatter.
And that useful. I would love more useful information. This is why I'm angry at Bondi. I think there should be all the useful information possible. But the same thing holds true for people who are making claims on the other side. Otherwise, I can claim that he was working for a cadre of space aliens who are blackmailing high-profile Americans in order to protect from a future invasion. And there's just about as much evidence for that as many of the claims that are being made on the other side.
All right, well, let's talk about that.
That is made requires evidence. Any claim that's being made requires actual evidence. And at the very least, in the absence of evidence, the credible names of the people that I can either trust or not trust, ranging from, again, the President of the United States and Vice President to the head of the FBI, the AG, and the Deputy Head of the FBI.
Well, I think it's very hard to say those people need to come out and put their names on these claims when they're working for an administration, this one and the one before, that didn't want that to come out. You're asking somebody to countermand the people they work for.
How am I supposed to falsify their claims? Now we're working in the realm of the unfalsifiable.
You're not, but you're...
Oh, wow. Ben Shapiro, once again. Ben Shapiro, once again, shockingly enough, taking a position that seemingly benefits Israel.
Look, Ben, you can't come to me and say, everybody I know says he killed himself. And then I respond saying, I actually have my own sources who say he didn't. And then you say, well, your sources are not valid because they won't put their names on it. Okay,
well,
who are your
I'm not saying
sources?
they're
Let's go
invalid.
down the list, and then we'll talk about why they might be saying that.
My sources are the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, Dan Bongino, the Deputy Head of the FBI, and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. And those aren't just my sources. They're everybody's sources because they...
Okay. What would Ben say if Merrick Garland, the FBI head under Biden, Kamala Harris, and Joseph Robinette Biden were all saying that Jeffrey Epstein actually killed himself? Please don't look at this at all. There's nothing to see here. Like, the only reason why Ben can get away with saying this is because he assumes that everyone in the audience is on board with all of these people and thinks that they are infallible. The problem here is the Epstein story is in and of itself infinitely more interesting for these people than all of these individuals that Ben just mentioned. I would go so far as to say even Donald Trump. That's why I was saying that this Epstein situation is like the first time I've seen genuine separation from even Donald Trump himself. If the Israeli media Twitter account tweeted that Epstein didn't kill himself, Ben would die defending that position with no evidence. Yeah. Well, if the Israeli media Twitter account tweeted that Epstein actually killed himself, I would assume that he didn't. If they actually said that Epstein didn't kill himself when he was assassinated, I would assume that he actually committed suicide, to be fair. So the position that Ben holds for the Israeli media account or the official Israeli spokespersons, I hold the exact opposite position.
Publicly came out and said this.
Nobody cares about Epstein. Oh my God. Yeah. Nobody. Stop talking about Epstein.
Okay. Trump hasn't specifically weighed in on that specific aspect of it. We've all seen the limited things that Trump has said and tweeted on this. And J.D. Vance was calling for transparency and suggesting otherwise prior to taking office. He hasn't commented on this so far, so he's not one of your sources.
He's the vice president.
You've got Kash, you've got Dan, and you've got Pam, and we've already discussed that memo in full detail. I'm talking about people behind the scenes who, prior to Trump taking office, I'm not going to get too specific, but trust me, I have high-level sources who have said they don't believe any of that. any of that.
Okay.
So, and I'm not going to out them for purposes of convincing you, but you're telling me name them. No, I'm not going to. I don't have authorization.
I'm not saying
and then you say, well, I dismiss all of it because you won't name them.
Hold on, Megyn, I'm not saying you should name them. I'm saying they should name themselves because otherwise they are being complicit in one of the greatest cover-ups in the history of the American
Republic. That's easy for you to say, Ben. That's very easy for you to say.
Why is that easy for me to say? Why?
Because you'll have your job and you'll have your millions, no matter what they do.
Megyn, give me a break. If somebody came out today and they were a whistleblower on the greatest scandal in the history of the American Republic, they would make more money tomorrow than in.
If someone actually came out as a whistleblower on the Epstein, they'd get killed. Okay? I'm sorry. That is such a, he's right. No, he's not. If someone comes out as a whistleblower against the interests of the American State Department, they go to prison. On this issue, if they were to come out as a whistleblower, they would get Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? No, it would be, yeah, they would leak the State Department, they would leak the intelligence secrets on Jeffrey Epstein and then be overcome with such grief about the consequences of their actions that they would instantly kill themselves with 2 bullets. Okay? Famously.
Their entire life working for the FBI. That's ridiculous.
Okay. There are reasons not to cross the people who are in charge. And that's all I'm going to say. And look, this is me not having drawn a conclusion. I don't know what the truth is. I've been reporting in a way, I mean, I see you've taken a side that you've chosen to believe the story that's being offered, and that's fine. A lot of people have. I'm not there yet. I don't actively say that there's a pedophile ring. I don't say any of that. I'm just following the facts, and we're not at the place where I can draw that conclusion.
Well, no, I can draw the conclusion that the evidence that I'm seeing and the people who are speaking about it lead me toward this particular conclusion. And if counter evidence is presented that is not speculative, then I will change my conclusion because that's what I've done on this case. Until this memo came out, I was weighing toward the more extreme version of this theory. And you can look back at my tweet.
Oh, so you're saying until Donald Trump said Jeffrey Epstein didn't, nothing to see here, you were on board with the theories.
That's what I've said about it. And then this came out. And now my perspective has changed. When the facts change and the people who are speaking
I guess I'm just not that.
Yeah. Also, after it was reported that Trump called Charlie Kirk to ask him to tone down his criticism of the Epstein files, here's what Charlie Kirk had to say.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly,
Trump has been making boss calls. Trump has been making boss calls on this to be like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up about Epstein.